Today we are talking about not just Silicon Valley, but about another side of real estate business, which is called short-term rentals or sharing. And today our guest is a very well-known real estate operation officer. I don't know if that's correct. Based in Silicon Valley, Allison does real estate investment and short-term rental management.
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming to the show. And, well, you've been in Silicon Valley for quite some time. I know that you developed your career very successfully. And before we get to the business side of the business, I would love to ask a few questions about your upbringing. I would make a guess that you're coming from a traditional Chinese family where education was one of the main priorities. How did you choose your educational path, and how did it bring you to this place, to the Silicon Valley?
Well, that's a good question, and thank you for having me. So my education path, I grew up in a small town in China, Xinjiang. So back then, everybody is about getting into a good college. So I really wanted to live in a big city, so I chose Shanghai. So I went to Shanghai University of Finance Economics. So back then, part of the Asian family want to be getting rich. So
everybody wants that now.
Yeah. So I finished my degree, and I can see myself, like after getting the degree, I will see myself working in an office and doing finance and accounting, and living in Shanghai apartment. And that wasn't the life I wanted, and not the life I wanted now. So I want to do something different. So I choose to study marketing in University of Denver. And while I'm really lucky, I got my parents' full support, and I have some friends and study applying the university with me together. So that was a really good choice. And back then, a lot of people were really confused and learning marketing, especially as immigrant. So basically, competing jobs with all the native speakers. And after I graduated, that's the economy took a sharp left turn. That was 2010. And then it was extremely difficult to find a job to stay over here. And that's how most of my classmates went back to China looking for better opportunities.
Okay.
Yeah, but I stayed. I was lucky enough and doing some of the contractor jobs in statistics and data mining. And then I waited my opportunity to come. I got into a good opportunity doing as a product manager for e-commerce store that's designed for Chinese and United States users. Mm-hmm. So that's how I got my foot into the business doing e-commerce. And back then, that was a really fun experience. I got to learn a lot about the B2B commerce, and I got to work on the project. And then that comes back to when I was planning my career development. I don't want to be a product manager, writing requirements. I found my talent in managing the bigger programs, projects,
right,
and seeing the bigger pictures. So I studied project management, the course, and got certified as a PMP. And then after that, back in Denver, I feel there was a limited opportunities for me to grow in terms of a career. So I started applying jobs in Silicon Valley, and that was 2016. So that's 8 years later. Now I'm here.
Right, and I don't know if we are allowed to mention which company are you working with right now.
Sure.
Well, I mean, you know the rules better, than that's why, because sometimes we don't mention them. Sometimes it's fine. So if it's fine with you, would you mind sharing with us, with our viewers, which company are you working with, your position, and what are you dealing with?
Let's just say I work for a big tech company in Silicon Valley, and offices in Sunnyvale, in the center of all the offices.
Uh-huh.
So I work in the e-commerce field as a program manager for technical teams.
Okay.
So I'm managing e-commerce programs, and from the very beginning to all the way to the end to deliver to the customers. So in terms of the scale of the program, I can say like be able to manage hundreds of people and a lot of moving pieces.
That's very interesting. Before we move to the real estate, I had one question, and it might be a little sensitive. So if you don't feel like answering, just let us know. It's totally fine. I have heard from some people that developed in Silicon Valley that they faced some inequality or some treatment which was not fair to them. You got into this, business bubble, Silicon Valley. You developed pretty well in this company, which is a big company, as you mentioned. Did you feel something like that on yourself? Or if not, maybe you have witnessed something like that? Anything you could share about that?
Oh, sure. So now it's my current company. In my previous company, and the second job I got in Silicon Valley, I have to work on a case with, my manager was creating the hostile working environment for me. And that was the case, not just happened to me, but for other contractors and other employees as well, especially female. So that was really challenging and difficult for me to do my job, to continue to perform, to get career growth. So I have to step out and not just talking to the HRs, but also talking to the leaders. And necessarily I have to use a consultant lawyer to really discuss my options to moving forward to protect my rights. So that worked well, and that was happened. That was 2018. So I'll be able to continue that job, and the company did a good decision. So they laid off that manager because of the hostile working environment.
So if there are people who are facing that stuff, what would be your advice to them?
Definitely speak out, seeking help. So I see a lot of cases, and especially immigrants working in Silicon Valley. We're not just like regular employees, and we're facing some of the immigrant status issue. A lot of people on the work H-1B visa. So if they lose a job, they only have 3 months or even shorter period of time to find another job. Otherwise, they will lose their legal status over here. But in that case, will be more attempt to just silence. And that's not the right way to do it. And you can speak up and talk to your coworkers, talk to your friends, talk to your managers, and to protect your rights. And also, you don't need to go to certain, like my case, have to go certain extreme extent to consult a lawyer or and also collect evidence at the same time. But you do need to speak up and setting your own work-life balance and setting your own boundaries. So be able to protect your right while like continue working on the stressful Silicon Valley job.
Right. I've read also that a lot of companies in Silicon Valley, they do care about their workers' life and work balance to make it kind of healthier. Is it the real thing, or is it just stuff in media?
So that's depend on the case. So in I would say like most organizations, of course, is support work-life balance, and they offer some of the mental health app and free sign-up, all those subscriptions. But also, it's up to us to protect our own mental health. For work-life balance, that's a tricky thing, especially a pandemic. Also, if you work in a large organization, you're gonna face people working in different time zone, especially overseas. And if that's only window, you'll need to talk to them to get work done. And you may have to work until midnight, or you may have to start working at 6 a.m. So this is kind of a part of the deal, like working in tech, everything changes on the spot. So if you want to do this job, and you need to be flexible, also respect your own boundaries, just find your own limit.
That's a great advice. So developing well and successfully in Silicon Valley brought you to real estate. How and why?
Oh yes, so that's everybody wants to own a house in Silicon Valley, and this is really expensive over here. People consider that's a big achievement, and I be able to save up a little bit down payment. And when I got my first property, that's was also in 2018. Everybody keeps saying me, "Oh, interest rate is really high. It's not a good time to get in." But luckily, I got in. That was really challenging. A couple first 2 years for me to maintain the high mortgage. Also working a successful job, and also had a side business. That's where I got into this short-term rental to help me, to help the whole family to be able to live in a relatively comfortable single-family house, and also be able to afford the mortgage and living expenses.
So you would say that you got into short-term rentals to help yourself with the mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's a very interesting field. I've tried it myself, not in Silicon Valley, not a territory that I'm interested in. Mm-hmm. But it has a lot of information that you need to learn. It has a lot of tricks. It has so much to learn. How did you deal with that? Where and how did you learn? And then I've seen pictures of your properties. You have really mastered your design. Did you study design, or how do you do the whole thing? What's your system?
That's a really good question. It's a loaded questions too. For me, I got into it for just how to pay the mortgage at first, and then I learned to started to learn my own experience and how do I want to set up my own room, how do I want to set up my own house, and what other things I need to add to it.
Okay.
Also working with customers. When the first years started, I lowered my price. I want to get more of customer feedbacks. I will go out of my way to asking them what I can do to make their stay more comfortable, and learn from them, and start to adding little bit of things and to understand their needs. Also, different people, like they can travel for work, they can travel for visiting families,
right.
They can travel for fun, and different people, they have different requirements for the housing. And then also for other systems, I'm glad not just Airbnb, short-term rental, they have some automated system for me to manage the customer communication.
Oh, wow.
And I have to say, a lot of housing emergencies like maintenance, that's a part that was that was one of my struggles. A lot of Silicon Valley single-family houses are really old, built in 1950s, even earlier. You're going to face a lot of old piping and old AC, or some of them don't even have AC, or flooding issues, and a lot of those parts. So that was also main concerns too. But after I sold my first property, I also get into the real estate flipping business to be able to I can see how do I manage, how do I manage emergencies, and how to troubleshoot. If I look at the leaking pipe, and if I'm looking at this malfunction of AC, where do I start? So that gave me a lot of knowledge for me to be able to handle those situations with confidence.
So you had your own house, then you learned from flipping houses, and you were doing short-term rentals in your own house. So they were like guests coming and living with you, basically. But now I know that you are scaling. You're getting more properties on different conditions. How does that work, and what are the risks that you might face in scaling?
Yes, so I have my own properties to manage, and I also have clients. So working in this field, working with clients, and they own the properties, I can either provide the services for them to do the short-term rental, including a range of the maintenance, cleaning, and screening of the guests, to maximize their rental income.
Right.
Another way to scale is I'll be able to rent somebody's house as me as a long-term tenant and as a second-hand landlord, and work with HOA to find out their policies for short-term rental. If it's allowed, I'll be able to do that, register that. So in California, the most county of most cities, they have 28 to 29 days. So if you stay within that date, you don't have the tenant's rights. But if it stays longer than that, that's a tricky part. That's considered have a tenant's rights.
So you can only rent for less than 28 days?
That's correct. I prefer. That's why we call it a short-term rental. If longer than that, will be mid-term rental, or even will be long-term rental. Right,
and then it will be tricky in California. That is very true. Now, a question which I would have, if let's say I would want to develop and scale. If you're renting someone's house, and it's okay, you can get a license, no other issues. You're basically risking with your own money, and then you don't know if you're getting clients or not. How do you deal with this case?
Okay, so this is actually legit business in the United States called rental arbitrage, and that's where you as a second landlord to rent it out. And the risk is you managing yourself, doing market research in that area. You can have an estimation on will be your monthly income, and we'll be looking at zip code and what type of customer you'll be getting. Especially if in Santa Clara, close to Levi Stadium, that's an area I really want to get more properties involved. They have concerts and they have sports games, and people would be traveling. They would love to have like bigger properties, and they can stay with the families and the friends. So this will have a more competitive advantage than the hotels. So that's, of course, doing any business, you're going to have risk. And but if you don't do it, you'll not know. And there's also other ways to mitigate all these risks. And if your short-term rental doesn't work, there is some site you can looking for mid-term rental, like traveling nurses, traveling workers, and even a lot of a smaller business, you can rent your place for people to remotely work there. So there's just a lot of ways to dealing with the risks, and just depends on how you want to develop your business.
How do you develop your work with your clients when you are just supplying the service? You're not renting out their property.
So if I'm supplying the services, I will be providing the house and the whole property setup from scratch. And I will get in this empty property, I will choose all the furnitures and providing service, getting this house ready on all the short-term rental platforms. I'll be managing all the customer check-in, check-out, and cleaning, and all these customers' ratings, and that will be my services. And on the owner's responsibility, they're responsible for the insurance of the property, and of course property tax, and for their managing their own trash and utility cost. So for me, I'm having this commission from the short-term rental income as my compensation for the services provided.
So in this case, you don't need to pay them monthly rent. You just get the commission out of the total income.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Do you have to invest anything? Like you mentioned, you have to make the arrangements. If it's an empty property, you do the design, as I assume. Do you invest anything except for your time, or how does it work?
So also I work with a client to come up with a budget to what budget they want to set up the house, and and also I give suggestions. And so if I work with them, if their budget is too low, but for my consideration, I want the house to look beautiful, comfortable for my guest, I will invest a little bit of my own out-of-pocket money. And also, of course, my time. Sometimes if I have to do, I have to change a lock and fix a pet myself. That's also my investment as well.
But do you have that compensated from the income, or it's just?
So it's case by case. So I do have the monthly commissions from the short-term rental income. But if something I have to consider for my business to grow is also because this property is under my branding, I want to make sure it meets the client's expectations for monthly goal. I will be able to invest down. I will have their targeted monthly rental income expectation, and for them to be able to meet that goal.
Okay. So in these two ways of developing short-term rental business, which one is your favorite or your preferred? Do you prefer to rent the place and work with it yourself, or to work based on a commission?
It's actually a tricky one. It's different, depends on the landlords. So like this client, this is actually one of my first, the other clients probably I set it up.
Right.
For this client, and he understands the benefits of short-term rental. So he knows he will be able to get more rental income if he just using me as services, and instead just rent me a flat rate. So in that case, so services for him is a better deal. And for other case, and I was talking to another landlord, so they don't want to manage the services, and they don't know much about the short-term rental services. And for them, they have investment property at this moment. They just want to have somebody else to manage it.
Right.
And then with a flat rate, and they will have other plans. So in that case, I will be able to happily to rent that place out and manage myself.
Well, I understand that from their perspective, and also this you gave an answer based on the owner. But your personal preference, would you prefer to rent it and then do it yourself, or to work on based on commission?
So if it is really a good property in a really popular neighborhood, I would prefer to rent it myself, because I can foresee, I know the rental income will be really profitable, even though I can rent it for long term. And then if in other like relatively average areas, I don't mind, there will be less risk for providing services.
Well, that's fantastic. Now you've gotten a bunch of properties already. What is your approximate growth plan, maybe for, let's say, this year? How many more properties do you expect to set up?
So I'm expecting to double my current listings. So I have another one coming up next month, and hoping by the end of this year, I'll be double my current listings.
Okay.
Will be close to 10 listings.
Well, that's intense. Do you have someone else helping you to manage all of these properties, because it's a lot, and plus you have your job at the tech company, or you just do it yourself?
Right now I'm doing that myself, but also I work with contractors for handyman, for cleaning, and for that part I do have help. But for managing the customers, that was just me, and I'm doing the automation.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's very interesting. Automation is a great thing, actually. Before we finish our episode today, I have one more question. Since you've known already so much about the business, do you plan to start any online courses or anything like that to teach people how to get into this business, how to develop this business? Maybe you oversee some of them as an advisor.
Oh, I would love to. So when I first started, I got some good advice for some superhosts from Airbnb.
Okay.
And then when I started continue to grow, and I started giving some advice for referral to other hosts too. So I'm kind of already doing a little bit offline. And this is one of the things really important for short-term rental to grow is SEO.
Right.
How do you get your keywords in? How do you get your ranking on the top of the page? So for that part, I've been learning a lot, and so far, like my business even in the off season is still doing okay. So I would love to share some of the experience and to share with the rest of the hosts.
Well, that's great to know. And the last question for today: if there was a person who wants to get into this business from zero, what would be your 3 main advice for a good, successful beginning for this person?
First, research. You research not just online research. You're in real estate. You need to know the neighborhood. You need to know the community. You need to know the property, and do this research and to pick a place you think will be profitable for short-term rental. That's the first, like other real estate business advice. And second, just learn based on like use your own experience. Like how do you set up a place that's comfortable, elegant, and also what's your target? If you're targeting families and different setup, if you're targeting like a high end, that will be completely different setup. And third, and if you're at really the beginning budget, you really need to be precise of how much you're spending versus what's your incoming income. And I have to say 4. That's the one. Be patient. And this is the really important one, the really critical one. You're gonna face a lot of customer complaints. You're gonna face a lot of customer requests, and in the middle of the night, Sunday morning, early morning, and you have to deal with it. You have to be patient with them, and you're probably not gonna be perfect. You can set up as much as you can. You're gonna have complaints. You're gonna have additional requests. Be patient with your customers and protect your own rights as well.
Well, that's a very valuable piece of advice. Thank you, Allison, for coming to the show, sharing with us all of this information and your story. And I think we'll be looking forward to see your properties in the end of the year. And that would be great if we could show it to our viewers. And if you plan to develop a course, we'll be glad to share it again, because I have read that these businesses, they do grow, and I think that your piece of advice and your course will be of great value to the community.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.